So this is the acquire screen. So you choose what type of scan you want to do. So at the moment it's surrounded in blue. It's highlighted to do a retinal macular OCT scan. This would be for a disc OCT scan. This would be for anterior. So anterior, we can either image the anterior chamber angle, or we can do pachymetry with IOP correction, and then camera for fundus image.
And that's your dashboard, that's the front screen.
Yes, that is the home. Well, I guess the home screen is the patient screen.
Yes.
So that would be your patient database. So I'm on it with a number of scans done. So if I've just highlighted myself, I then go to acquire.
Please place
and I
your
go
head
to do
on
a
the
scan.
chin rest and
So-
blink freely.
Along the top is you tell it which eye you want to scan. So at the moment it's only highlighted right eye, so it'll only scan the right eye. If I highlight both, it will scan the right eye followed by the left eye. Scanning mode itself, there's two scanning modes. There's full auto, so the tick is on, and that's there's a voice prompt for the patient. All you do is press start. If you do semi-auto, you press start to initiate the scan, and then you can move in this middle tomogram window. You can drag the scan and manipulate it if you wanted to before you click acquire to actually take the scan.
Okay.
Chin rest is operated on the front screen there, up, down. There's a canthus mark on the side, so the patient's eye should roughly be in line with the canthus mark. You sometimes get, if you get a little old lady and the next patient is a great big rugby player, you get the eye difference is too far off the canthus mark and the start button's not highlighted.
Right.
So you just quickly adjust it. This is the scanning area window, which you don't normally move, but for example, if you had a central cataract, you could try scanning above it, below it, or around it.
Okay.
And then the middle cross is the fixation. So if you're doing semi-auto scans, you can move the fixation yourself. But for disc scans, it will automatically move the fixation for the patient to rotate the eye. So if I just go back to retina scan, I'll leave it on full auto and we'll do both eyes. So I'm just going to hover my cursor, because this is so easy, you can scan yourself. So I'm just going to hover my cursor over the start key and just press it when I think it's ready.
Please look at the center of the green cross and blink freely.
It's like a golden target, isn't it?
Please blink and then keep your eyes open. Thank you. You can blink freely. Please blink and then keep your eyes open. Thank you. You can blink freely.
That's it, that's the scan done. So in the top right hand corner is a right and left retina scan. So if I double click either of these two, the software will also shift it over to the left, save it, and then analyse it at the same time. So I can just check my alignment scan there. So that's left eye only. And if I want to look at right eye, just select right.
And you can do both at the same time.
Yeah, both at the same time. So I was just looking at this, just lining this up. So then if I select both,
Yeah.
so we're looking at retina analysis, so that's right eye, that's left eye,
Sure.
right retina thicknesses, left retina thicknesses. And in both eye view, you also separately get ganglion cell layer analysis. So again, that's right eye, that's left eye.
Brilliant.
In single eye view, you don't see the ganglion cell layer analysis. So there's retinal thicknesses, normative database at the bottom. You have these sub windows as well. So at the moment that's nerve fibre layer, ganglion cell and inner but I can change that to, if I wanted to, ganglion cell layer and inner only. Or I can display retinal thickness, which is what this map is, so hence these values are exactly the same. So there's the middle tomogram is the retinal slice, and that's represented by this red line along here.
Yeah.
So it gives you an idea. This is the fundus reconstruction. So if I put my cursor anywhere on this middle tomogram window and roll with my mouse,
Okay.
I'm basically rolling through the whole scan to look for some pathologies or something that I might want a closer look at. Or I can just grab the red line and quickly
Yeah.
scroll through the scan. And if I want to centre back over the fovea, I just get the cross tool and it centres back over the fovea. So that's single eye, and you do the same in both eyes because the tomogram there is at the bottom, so I can roll through it, centre back over the fovea. If I put the padlock on, when I roll through one image, it'll automatically do it on the other eye as well. I'm just going to flick between the two. So the other thing, and again, it doesn't matter if you're in single eye view or both eye view, if you double click a tomogram, you blow the window up so you get a larger picture of the retinal slice, representation of where that slice is, the red line. So again, I could roll through it with my mouse, or if I want to quickly scroll through it, I can grab the red line, scroll through. So in this rendition window, there's some obvious tools, zoom in, zoom out. But if you're scrolling through a scan and you find some pathology, you can go to tools here. So these are the calipers. So if you had an edema or something, you could measure it in microns. You could then go to annotations. You may find something on the image, go to text and write something in so that it stays on. This is image 83 of 128. So it might be you'd want to send that to a colleague for a second opinion or send to a hospital for referral. So whether you're in this rendition window or the previous window, output's always available top right. So if I click output, I can select PDF report and OK. And if I minimise the software, go to this output folder, under today's date, I've got a PDF of Steve Edwards, which I can drag to the desktop. And that was the screen we were just looking at. So we might want to attach that as an email to referral so the hospital know to look at that particular screen. Your practice details would be up here as well. Let's just close that a minute. So,
You know when it says 83 of 128,
yeah,
that's the 83rd image that you've got
of 128
in
yeah.
total that you've taken.
Yes.
Ah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Not for that particular patient, but just in total.
No, for that. Yeah, for that scan. Yeah.
Oh, for that scan. Okay.
Yeah. So if I roll off image 83, I won't see my notations that I put on. So if I then go to image 84,
yes,
it's not
there.
showing. And if I roll back to 83, it's there. The other thing you can do with output is if I press output top right again, instead of a PDF, you could do tomogram series. Because a PDF is obviously just a two-dimensional image. So I highlight tomogram and then I click OK. And this is going to take longer to save because it's a bigger file size. Then I minimise the software again, open the output folder, open today's date. Now I've got a folder. Oops, let me go back one. So I've now got a folder of Steve Edwards, drag that to the desktop. Then if I open that, open the first image, then I'm just going to use Windows Viewer to scroll through the image.
Okay.
Because normally you can only scroll through an image whilst you're looking through the software, but this would be a way of looking through it, yeah. And you've got your red line for your where you are. But of course this would be a much bigger file size. The PDF two-dimensional image is 1.86 megabytes. The tomogram series is 30 megabytes. And staying on output for a second, if you had a hospital and they particularly said it's got to be a DICOM compatible file, you just choose one of these because these are all DICOM compatible files. Whether it be a single, like the single JPEG, sorry, that would be like a single PDF, a single JPEG, or the tomogram series.
And the profile map at the bottom, it's got a traffic light system.
This one or this one?
Right at the bottom. Here,
Sorry.
this one.
Oh, that's the normative database. Yeah. So the green bar is the normative database.
Yeah.
The black line is the patient, in this case me.
Yes.
I happen to fall within the normative database, so my values are green.
Yes.
But you can be a long way outside normative database,
Yes.
but perfectly healthy.
Yes.
Doesn't mean.
No, I understand,
Just look. If someone's not in the normative database, I don't mention it because the patient then would worry about something they shouldn't be worrying about. But if they are in it, you can say they're in it. And I guess if you were looking at my image and you said, well, that's perfect, your retina looks perfectly normal, healthy, Steve, and I questioned, well, what does an unhealthy retina look like? You can go back to your patient database and look for examples. So say pathology example, click on that, and you can clearly see there's something wrong with this.
Yeah.
So this patient is miles outside normative database, but there's a reason for it, because there's this edema here which has lifted the layers up.
Yeah.
So hence they've gone into this purple colour, which is thick, but you can see why, which is different to saying there's nothing wrong with this patient, but they are outside normative database. They may just be born like that. If I go back to patient window, Steve Edwards again, and back to
Please
acquire.
place your head on the chin rest
So
and blink freely.
if, for example, we scrolling through this image, whether it's in this window or this window, and you did find some sort of pathology, so this image is this red line here.
Yes.
So if I found some pathology over here, I'd say, well, it's on the end of the red line there.
Yes.
I found it in the middle, it's in the middle. On the left-hand side, it's on the left-hand side. So what you can do, and this next bit is not very scientific, but just bear with me. If you think of this as a clock face at 12, 6, 3, 9, the pathology we're looking at is roughly about 7 o'clock. So you go back to acquire.
Please place your head
And
on
then
the
from
chin
your
rest
drop-down
and
menu,
blink
your
freely.
default is always a 3D, and that's the only scan that gives you clinical data of retinal thicknesses and ganglion cell layer. But if you want a more high-definition view, an image only, you could, for example, select 5-line raster scan. But at the moment, the 5-line raster scan is going from 9 to 3. So you just get your rotation tool,
Turn it to 7.
turn it to 7, get the patient to pop back on, and do another scan.
Please look at the center of the green cross and blink freely. Please blink and then keep your eyes open. Thank you.
So it's the
You
best
can blink
estimate.
freely.
Sorry,
It's the best estimate.
to cover that area, yeah, it should cover. I mean, you can change the gap. So they're
the
1
raster
millimeter.
lines.
They're 1 millimeter apart. You could change them to 4 millimeters.
Okay.
But the chances are you'll then go either side of the pathology that you saw when you scrolled through the 3D image. But that's quite a distance when you're scanning an OCT. So we now should have 5 images only. No clinical data about retinal thicknesses. We ask for image only.
Okay.
So, and you can start to see, you can see in the vitreous a bit more detail because it's a more high definition image. That top image is represented by the red line. I can roll, so this is image 3 of 5, and I can do the top one as image 4 of 5, and it's telling me which scan line we're looking at. And I can double click that to blow it up. You can clearly see the vessel. See the vessel's clearer in this image because it's a more high definition image with the shadows from the vessel and my vitreous attached to either side of the fovea there. If I go back to acquire,
Please Place your head on the chin rest.
In
and
fit,
blink
the
freely.
less scans you do, so you've got 5-line raster scan, then you've got radial, then you've got cross, and then you've got single B scan. The less scans you do, the more high definition the image is. But if you was to select single B scan, you're very unlikely to be able to rotate that through the area of interest. That's why you choose the 5-line raster, because it covers a wider area. But this type of scan, single B scan, is good if you're looking at traction, so you just want to see a more high definition image of the vitreous. So if we just do another one scan only.
Please look at the center of the green cross and blink freely. Please blink and then keep your eyes open. Thank you. You can blink freely.
You don't even need an assistant to take these scans.
No, you can do it
You
yourself.
can do
yeah.
automatically, can't you?
So now if I blow this one up, so normally with OCT scans you're always looking black and white because you'd get noise interference, but because we asked it for a very quick image, we can actually look at it in colour and you can see the detail. I mean, obviously that's still the vitreous, but it's a different density. It looks like a pocket. It's not. I think it's the premacular bursa, but I stand to be corrected on that. But yeah, you can see my vitreous nicely attached, because obviously when it gets closer and closer and closer, what you're doing for my benefit is when it does lift away, it doesn't start pulling any layers with it. And I have found a PVD on a customer who she knew she had it, but she let me keep her image. So if I go back to patients, posterior.
Wow.
So I didn't ask for detail in the retina, I asked for detail in the vitreous.
And that's a B scan, is it?
That's a single B scan, yeah. Yeah. Go back to patients, back to Steve Edwards.
Please place your head on the chin rest and blink freely.
So then if we then go to say disc, and we go back to both eyes. By the way, they don't do touchscreen anymore.
Okay.
HP have stopped because of COVID. They've stopped making it. So we supply exactly the same PC. It's just not touchscreen. So you just operate it with a mouse. So I'm on disc OCT scan. I've got it on both eyes, and I'm still in full auto. Oops.
Thank you. You can blink freely.
Shouldn't have done that. I pressed acquire when I should have pressed start. So let's just delete that.
Please look at the center of the green cross and blink freely. Follow the green cross. Please blink and then keep your eyes open. Thank you. You can blink freely.
And you've got decent sized pupils, so on small pupils, I'll let you do the scan.
Follow the green cross. Please blink and then keep your eyes open. Thank you. You can blink freely.
Yeah, so the minimum pupil size for a fundus photograph is 3.3 millimeters. The minimum pupil size for an OCT scan is 2.2. And I've yet to come across a patient who can't do an OCT scan.
Right.
I'm sure there's people out there. It will happen.
Yeah.
But
in terms of fundus photography, there are limitations for the pupil
there
size.
are, yeah. Fundus photography is it's a game between the light, the pupil size, how the patient can fixate, whereas OCT is very easy to do, and pupil size never. Well, I've yet to see it affect an OCT scan. So I double click my results. So we're looking at disc now. So this is right, so we'll be looking at, if I just go to right eye only, I'm just going to set that back to black and white. So there's my disc scan with all my disc data, cup disc sizes. It also has this DDLS, which is damage likelihood scale. It's another marker for you to look at. Normative database, all my quadrant values down here. There's the tomogram of my disc. So if I put my cursor on, I can roll with my mouse through my disc scan, or I can double click the tomogram to blow it up to the rendition window. And I can roll through it. And I can, if I need to, I can use the tools, annotations and calipers in this window. So in single eye view, you get a bit more data than you do in both eye view. So that's right eye, that's left eye. But all my, again, I'm virtually within normative database. There's the symmetry between the right and left, which you want to see is fairly good. I've actually got an interesting left, well, some people would say it's not interesting, but I've got lots of vitreous hanging off on my left disc. So if we double click the left tomogram, you start to see it in, and if I slowly roll through it, you see lots of bits hanging on. But I don't have any vision there, so nothing to worry about. So that's a disc right and left. We go back to single eye view. So if I quickly go back to retina, so 3D mode there, no clinical benefit to you whatsoever, but it's quite nice to show the patient if you've got the inquisitive patients.
Oh, that's nice.
So if you click play, you get these cones coming up, and whichever cone you click, it will slice through and play it as a video from that point. Stop it, reset it. Shifting, I can then use shifting to separate the layers.
Okay.
To explain to the patient you're looking individually at these layers. You know, traditionally with a ophthalmoscope or a fundus camera, you're looking at that, but with the OCT.
And how many layers is it split into?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in this 3D mode. I'll just reset that, put that back to black and white. So I won't spend too long on that because it's just a bit of a theatre side of it. Would be the same in disc. If you've done a retina and a disc scan, as we have just done, you can do a combined report. Oops, sorry, an advanced report. So this would be like a glaucoma report. So this is cramming a lot of stuff on one page now, but that's my right eye, that's my left eye, that's my right macular scan showing nerve fibre layer, ganglion cell and plexiform values. There's my disc scan, disc values, and the same for the left eye. So I could, if I wanted to, send that as an output report. Go back to single eye, go back to acquire.
Please,
so the
place
same
your
with
head on
disc,
the
you have a
tumorus
drop down
and
menu,
blink
so
freely.
you could image only do a 5-line raster scan, or in image only do a radial scan. If I go on to anterior,